Hi there. If you're new to pointing a wall as I am, then my first recommendation is to suggest that you do watch the expert YouTube videos who will give you a lot of very useful information. The only thing about those experts is that they look at it from a different angle because they know what they're doing and we don't. So I thought I'd just help you with this video to try and stop you from making the obvious mistakes that I did when I first started. First thing is something they call the mix. That's the ratio of the cement to sand. And there's a number of different views on that, 3 to 1, 3 of sand, 1 of cement. But I found the easiest thing to do to begin with is to use a ready mixed. Buy it ready mixed. It's more expensive, but if you're still new to it, I would recommend that you start with that. If you're not going to use the mortar mixture all in one go, and I would recommend that you just use a small amount each time, especially when you're beginning, then the first thing to make sure is that what you get out of the bag is really very well mixed. I poured it into a container and then into a bucket just to make sure that the sand and cement is properly mixed together. You need to pour the water in gradually and make sure that you don't put too much in. Keep stirring, obviously. Again, if you were thinking of using all of a bag in one go, then just make sure you leave a bit out, because what you'll almost invariably find is that you think you've not put enough water in, and then you find you put too much in. And if you've used all of the bag in one go, then you're not going to have any extra to put in when you've found you've actually got too much water in it. Scrape the bottom well, make sure all of the dry mixture gets wet. Our garden wall was a great one to start on. Hopefully this time next year it'll all be covered by plants. Found this plasterer's float very useful for holding the small amounts of mortar that we're working from. Experts agree that you need to push the mortar in quite firmly and fill the gap well. Clean out the old mortar as much as you can. I've left in the mortar that's already there. If it's firm, then I've left it in. This bit's tricky, but when you master it, it's very satisfying. You just need to catch a bit of the mortar on the edge of the trowel and balance it, because it will fall off. But balance it until you get it up to the gap and then fill the gap. Make a little pad of the cement of the depth of the space you want to fill. I found there was no shortage of occasions when the mortar just fell straight off the edge of the trowel. I think it's a good idea to put the box of the mortar underneath where you're working, and then you can pick up all the stray bits that fall out. It saves picking up the hardened cement after the job's finished, which, as you can see, I didn't do early enough, and it also saves on the mortar. Keep stirring and get a really nice smooth mixture. You need to decide which edge of the trowel you're going to use, and that's the side that you're going to catch the mortar on. Now you can see how there's plenty dropping off here, but if you've got the bucket underneath it, then it's not going to go to waste. Now here I couldn't quite decide which edge of the trowel to use. I don't think I was using the right edge here, so it's a bit of a contortion to get it to stick on. Yeah, tricky. I think I'm using the wrong edge there. Well, this seems to have been effective in the end. Let's smooth it off nicely. Can't remember now why I'm using that edge of the trowel, although I seem to be managing to get it in okay. Oh, you see, I've got myself into a rhythm there, filling the gap very nicely, pushing it right in. Make a nice square pad of the mortar. Have it about the height of the, or equal to the width of the gap between the bricks. I think I'm making a better job now using the other edge of the trowel. It doesn't always stick to that edge, but you can use gravity to help and tip the mortarboard down, tip it down, and just scoop it up. It does seem to be the best way of getting the mortar into the gaps. Again, some of it falls off, but if you've got your bucket underneath, then you'll not be making too much of a mess. Just trying to work out here which edge of the trowel I'm going to use. Thinking of using that top. That doesn't look quite right. Now we need to turn it round, balance it on the edge, and squeeze it into the gap. This is very satisfying when it works. Don't be afraid to tip the mortarboard down to help you make sure that the mortar stays onto the trowel. It doesn't seem to slip off the mortarboard. This is yesterday's effort, rather a messy job. I could have smoothed the mortar down. I have done today.